مر الزمان تألقا وأضاء للدنيا طريقا مشرقا وهدى من الرحمن يهدينا به للصالحات وللمكارم والتقى هذا كتاب الله أعذب منهل أنعم
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome to the 29th episode of this series, the 40 hadith pertaining to the virtues and the rulings of the Qur'an. In today's episode we will look a little bit about the etiquettes and the fiqh of reciting the Qur'an, and this will be based upon the hadith of Abū Sa'īd al Khudri radiallahu anhu, which is reported in Dawud and the Ustadh of Imam Ahmad and other books of Hadith. In this hadith he mentions that when the Prophet ﷺ would stand up for prayer at night, he would begin with the dua of istiftah, subhanaka Allahumma bihamdika wa tabaraka ismuka wa ta'ala jadduka wa la ilaha ghayruka, and then he would recite la ilaha illallah 3 times, and then he would say Allahu Akbar Kabira 3 times, and then he would seek refuge in Allah because he was going to recite the Qur'an. And he said A'udhu billahi as-samil alim min ash-shaytan ar-rajim min hamzihi wa nafkhihi wa nafthihi, and then he would begin reciting the Qur'an, which means, oh Allah, I seek refuge in Allah subhanu wa ta'ala, I seek refuge in Allah, the all-knowing and the all-hearing. A'udhu billahi as-samil alim, the all-knowing, the all-hearing and the all-knowing, from the Shaytan and from his hamz, from his evil inspirations, and from his nafkh, and from his pride and arrogance, wa nafthihi, and seek refuge from his magic and from his poetry. And then he would begin reciting the Qur'an. So we can see that it was a habit of the Prophet ﷺ that he would seek refuge in Allah before he would recite the Qur'an. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. Then when you read the Qur'an, seek refuge in Allah from the Shaytan who was expelled from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So based upon the ayah and this ayah and the ahadith and many other hadith that mention the isti'adha, we say it is highly recommended that a person seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before he recites the Qur'an. But the important thing that we understand is why. We need to understand that when a person begins to recite the Qur'an, the Shaytan, he will try very, very hard to distract you and deter you from reciting the Qur'an. And so he will engage in a battle with you. But sadly, then when many people read the Qur'an, saying the isti'adha is just a statement of the tongue, and it's not an action of the heart. It really should be an action of the heart, because when you're seeking refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from Shaytan, you have to realize that Shaytan is going to strive to distract you and make you be concerned with other things. So let it be a statement of the heart. And Ibn Qayyim, he described the haqiqah, or the reality of isti'adha, as being al-hurubu min shay'in takhafuhu. It means to flee from something that you are afraid of, ila man ya'simuka minhu, to the one who will protect you from that thing that you fear. So really, isti'adha, or seeking refuge in Allah, it is an action of the heart, and should really stem from the heart, but it's something that is obviously said upon the tongue. And there are different ways that we can say it. I mean, the standard way of saying it is based upon the ayah. As Allah says, فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. That when you recite the Qur'an, seek refuge in Allah from the Shaytan al-Rajim. So we say, أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. That's one way. Another way is, as we mentioned in this hadith, أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ السَّمِيعِ الْعَلِيمِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ مِنْ هَمْزِهِ وَنَفْخِهِ وَنَفْثِهِ. That's another way. And there are some various other ways, inshallah, and 4 or 5 different ways, and they're all flexible, and you can alternate between them, inshallah ta'ala. Just as a final point, that when a person he begins to recite the Qur'an, he makes the isti'adha, sometimes he is interrupted. He can be interrupted by things which sort of overtake him and overwhelm him, such as, for example, if a person yawns or sneezes. And so then after that they return back to the recitation of the Qur'an. Then in that case you don't need to repeat the isti'adha if your recitation has been interrupted for such reasons. However, if your recitation is interrupted due to you voluntarily speaking to other people or answering a call, for example, then it's advisable that a person repeats the isti'adha. But really, just to stress and to conclude, it's very important that when we seek refuge in Allah, we understand why we are seeking refuge in Allah, and that we really acknowledge that the Shaytan really will strive to distract you. And thirdly, that seeking refuge in Allah, it's an action of the heart, and it really must be said with our heart, and our heart must flee to Allah, because that's the essence of isti'adha. It is fleeing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and seeking refuge in Him. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us when we recite the Qur'an, inshallah ta'ala. And in the next episode, inshallah, we will look at the issue of the permissibility or the impermissibility of reciting the Qur'an and touching the Qur'an without wudu. So until the next episode, inshallah, barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
تألقا وأضاء للدنيا طريقا مشرقا وهدى من الرحمن يهدينا به للصالحات وللمكارم والتقى نور على مر الزمان تألقا.